Hey guys, welcome back to Mama's Closet. Today I am bringing you another episode from another mama, Mama Rachel. Rachel and I have been friends for a very long time, and I'm so happy that this worked out, that we could not really get together, but we could talk about things. Rachel and I do not live anywhere near each other, so I filmed from my place and she filmed from hers. And so I've said this before, but I am not a tech genius, and just please forgive the not so state-of-the-art lighting and audio, and hope you can enjoy the content and Rachel's story and take it for what it is worth. So welcome and enjoy. I am here with my good friend and new co-host, Rachel. Yep, my new co-host. Rachel and I go back a long time. We were just talking about it. Met in third grade. She was in school with me. We were great friends until she moved away our sophomore year of high school. So she has a lot of memories of me. I have a lot of memories of you, Rachel, like bonfires in your backyard. And I remember some pranks gone wrong, 911 being called. You remember that?
Brothers scaring us with masks, yep.
So we go a long ways back, and Rachel and I have connected for Mama's Closet. And so I'm going to have Rachel take it away and just have her introduce herself. Go ahead.
All right. Now I'm nervous. I'm Rachel. I'm 40. I live in the Northern California with my husband, who I've been married to for 17 years now. We have twin boys, Ben and Jack. They are turning 10 next month. And yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I was happy that Terry reached out and wanted to do a little chat. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a mother?
Okay, well, my journey was actually way more challenging than I ever thought it was going to be. We got married at 23 and we both wanted to be young parents. So we were kind of just like, we weren't doing anything to prevent pregnancy. We were just kind of like, let's see how it goes and hope that, we get pregnant right away. That was not the case for us. We waited like a year, and a lot of couples, they say it can take longer than a year. Like, that's absolutely normal. So I didn't do anything at that point. I was just kind of like, let's just enjoy being newlyweds, and if it happens, it happens. And another year went by, and it was like, okay, at this point, like, we should go see my doctor and like figure out because we were like 25 years old. There was really no reason that shouldn't have been happening. So we did that, and my doctor recommended like both of us should get tested. So we went through that whole thing, and neither of us had anything that they could find that was like, this is what we discovered and this is why. It was kind of like unexplained, like, just keep doing what you're doing, maybe you're just not timing right, and really track everything. And I think I was like 20, almost 26 by the time nothing had happened still. And I was like, I want to do something proactive and like actually do the beginning of fertility treatments of some kind, because it was really like everyone around me was getting pregnant too. And it was like, why is this so easy for everyone else? And my body just is like failing me in this department. So we met.
That's hard. That's hard, not having a reason, like nothing you can tackle to make it, to fix the problem or whatever.
What is the problem?
Yeah.
Their first course of action was like, why don't we just do timed intercourse, basically, where they have me take a bunch of hormones to plump up my eggs, and an injection shot to make me ovulate, and then home and you have intercourse at this time, and it should like be perfect timing, and this will probably be your answer. So we tried that a couple rounds, nothing happened. And it was like, all right, we need to be a little more aggressive. So at that point, they're like, okay, we can do insemination. We're basically the same thing. I'm taking hormones, lumping up my eggs, and then they're just injecting everything right into the uterus to hope that it meets. And I think we did that 3 or 4 times and nothing. And it was like, I got to a point where I had to take a break because I was like, this is just not fun. And I'm beating myself up every month when it's not happening. And so we took like a mental health break and just like focused on each other again, because it got to the point where it was like not good as a couple to be like so disappointed month after month. So I think we took another year off, which I think a lot of people don't understand. Like if you want it bad enough, you don't stop, but you're like, you can get to a mental point where like you can't keep going. You have to just kind of take a breather. So that's what we did. And then when we were ready to like try mentally and like I was prepared to go through all the hormone stuff again, we reached back out to the doctor and I said, is there something we can switch up? Like maybe I should take a different hormone to like see if I respond better. So she's like, yeah, we can try a different hormone and just keep the insemination as like, it does take several tries for some people. So I was like, okay. So again, we went through like 6 rounds this time. Nothing happened.
Wow.
Like at that point, I think we were 28. I don't know. And I kind of was like at my wit's end of like, I just like, let's go adopt a child. Like clearly this is not happening for us. I was feeling very defeated. My husband was more like, let's not throw in the towel. Like he knew my dream was to like carry a child and have my own child. So he's like, we haven't even done everything we can do. So like, if you need a break, let's take a break. But I don't want you to just think adoption's going to be easy either, because that's a whole other process we don't know anything about and it's expensive. So we kind of just took another year, maybe more off. And then it was like when I was mentally ready to like tackle the next thing, I'm like, I'm going to call an IVF clinic and we are going to meet with them, because I don't even know what the heck IVF entails.
Yeah.
Is what I have to go through, because for men, their parts vary. But I'm the one that's going to have, injections and blood draws and like possible heartbreak. I mean, my husband was too when I didn't get, like, you feel it more as the woman, like it's me problem. So we did meet with an IVF clinic. I think we were like 29 by that point, and they were like, yeah, obviously insemination's not working for you guys. It is time to move on. We went through all the stuff. I mean, IVF honestly wasn't terrible. It wasn't fun to give myself shots. Like, I wasn't always home at the time I had to give them to myself, but I sucked it up. I did what we had to do. And I responded really great to the hormones. We made a lot of healthy embryos, and they were like, okay, the first cycle, we do recommend you're under 30. You should just do 1 embryo. It's probably going to take. And I'm like, okay, like in my head, I'm like, why don't we just do 2? Cause like, at least I'd have a better chance. But I was like, I don't really want to have twins. Like, overwhelm myself. So like, yeah, let's do the 1.
Yeah.
We felt good. We did the 1, and everything was great. And before I was going to go get blood drawn to make sure we were successful, I was like still thinking like there's a chance I'm going to be pregnant. Like, this is crazy. But I also was trying to prepare myself. Like, I highly doubt it's going to work the first try. Like, knowing it's not going to be that easy.
I know that feeling of you've already had that defeat over and over, and so you just automatically prepare yourself to be prepared for that.
You're still like, there's that excitement of like, it could be. So yeah, of course it didn't work. And not only did it not work, we found out Christmas Day that it did not work. And I was like, okay, this is like my lowest point now. Like, what else can I freaking do? I'm getting emotional. So yeah, we were, I kept thinking like, do I take another break, or do I just push through, go to the next round of like doing the frozen embryos? And I was like, screw it, we're pushing through. Like, I'm not gonna keep taking breaks and just hope that time will like help in any way, because clearly, it wasn't. So the next round, we had the frozen embryos that they're like, okay, you have an option now. Do you want to do 2? I was like, can I do 3? So we really want to limit 2 now, because think of people like John and Kate +8 and all the crazy things that have happened to women that do a lot of embryos. It's not the best idea.
Yeah.
So we did 2. That round, before I even went in to get a blood draw, I got my period. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So I called my IVF doctor at home, and I'm crying, and I'm like, it didn't work. And she's like, how do you know? You haven't taken your blood draw. And I was like, because I'm bleeding. And she's like, okay, well, I didn't want to scare you, but that's very common in IVF pregnancy to have bleeding. And I was like, okay, rolling my eyes at her, you think I don't know my own body? She's like, please go take a test, and then, call me back, and we're just going to continue as normal. Come in tomorrow, still get your blood drawn, no matter what the test says. So I'm like, I hang up on the phone with her. I'm so annoyed, and I begrudgingly go into my bathroom, and I pee on a stupid stick, and I throw it on the counter, and I wash my hands, and I'm like, I didn't even wait for Noah to get home from work. So I'm like, I'm not going to get him involved and get his hopes up. And I look, and I double take, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And I screamed, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I was talking out loud like a crazy person to myself.
So do you know what day you were post-ovulate? Was it a really strong positive, or was it faint, or?
No denying there was
okay
positive. And I'm like, how in the world? Everything you've been told, you don't bleed during pregnancy, right? So I'm like, this is either wrong. So I was still in my head I'm not getting my hopes up, because
right,
it makes no sense to me. So I told Noah, and of course he's over the moon, jumping around, and I'm like, don't get too excited, something's wrong clearly, because this isn't how most women discover they're pregnant. So I went to the blood draw, and then I had to go straight to work. I was a preschool teacher at the time, so I'm dealing with everyone else's littles while I'm waiting for this important phone call. And they finally called me, and I went to a private area, and she's like, I have good news. And I was like, are you kidding me? And she's like, you're very pregnant, your level, there's more than one in there. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
So I was just I was shaking. I was like, I don't know how to take this right now at work with I can't do, I still have to get through the day. And I'm I text Noah just telling him apparently we're very pregnant, and there's more than well, how many are there? I don't know quite yet, but what the heck. So it was crazy, because they made us, obviously I was still bleeding, so she's like, I do want to do a very early ultrasound to figure out what could be going on. And I had some kind of subchorionic hemorrhage or something. So she's like, I want you to kind of take it easy. If we have to put you on bed rest, we will. But we could see there was 2 babies, and I was like, oh my gosh, holy crap, this is happening now. Yeah, our journey to parenthood was wild. That was the only pregnancy I've had. They made it to 36. Wow. It was crazy.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay, so Rachel, the boys, okay, so you've got twins. They're fraternal, I'm assuming. Okay. How was that? What was that twin pregnancy like?
I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to, but
sure.
I honestly never felt better being pregnant. I know a lot of women get the first trimester sickness or very tired. I felt I was buzzing with energy, and maybe that's just because I wanted it for so long.
Yeah.
But I really, Noah always says, you were the most happy, he, complaints of my moods during pregnancy.
Yeah.
Go on bed rest from weeks 6 to 9, I want to say, because of the hemorrhage thing I had going on. But then after that, it was smooth sailing. Until about 28 weeks, when I was having a lot of nerve pain just because the way they were resting. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to chase 2-year-olds at preschool all day, and the doctor was like, let's just take you off work, because you don't eat all day long. Let's keep these babies in. And so I was home just relaxing, nesting, doing all the things. And then yeah, we were supposed to make it to 38 weeks with a scheduled C-section because both boys were breech.
Oh, wow.
So I had an option.
Mhm.
And at 36 weeks, I like woke up and I had a ton of like back pain, and I was like, but I was uncomfortable by that point. I was huge. I made Noah get in the photo that day. It was like our last photo. I'm like, it could be the last one. And he's like, okay, sure. You still have 2 weeks. That afternoon he left to go pick up some family and my water broke. And I was like, you need to get home. I'm in. So yeah, we made it to the hospital. They made me labor it out for a few hours because I had just had lunch, and they were like, we don't want to do a C-section when you just ate, kind of a thing. So I did. I liked that I got to experience like the labor side, not like the full experience, but I did have contractions and stuff until it got too far, and then they wheeled me back to do the C-section. But yeah, they were a great size for being early. They were both almost 7 pounds, and
Wow.
yeah, I'm like, thank God I went early, because I can't imagine having like 8-pound babies in 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
They didn't spend like time in the NICU or anything. Jack had some issues right out the gate, like his cord was wrapped, so he wasn't responsive at first, but that was resolved pretty quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, besides that, I had a very easy pregnancy with the boys.
What was your postpartum experience with twins like?
That was difficult for me. I think every mom probably feels that way. But for me, it wasn't depression. It was like super anxious, like intrusive thoughts where I was like, I couldn't relax. Like I would never leave the room, kind of a thing. Like I had to make sure they were breathing all the time. And like my husband's like, you need to chill. Like you're being crazy. I couldn't, like, I was so hormonal. I wasn't so sleep deprived that like any little noise they made, I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, nothing is wrong. That's like a typical baby noise. Like, I don't think for the first, I'm not exaggerating, the first like 6 to 7 weeks, we just did not sleep because they weren't on the same sleep schedule. They both suffered from like reflux. So they were miserable, screaming babies. And I was just like, this is not what I envisioned.
This is not what I signed up for.
But yeah, my poor husband, he took like, his work gave him like 6 weeks off, and I don't think we slept those 6 weeks. And then he had to just go back to work, and he'd have me like in tears, like, you can't leave me. He's like, I have to work. And I just was an anxious mess of a person until, I don't know, 9-10 weeks, I started feeling like a little more sane. But yeah, my anxiety was unreal.
Yeah. So did it all resolve itself with the calming of the hormones and all of that?
Yeah, I think that helped, and just having more sleep, because once they actually slept in decent chunks of time, you felt like again, like until they were like on solids, which was 5.5, 6 months, they really never slept what I would consider more than 3 hours at a time. Like it was crazy. And then once they had solids, it was like, oh, we're going to sleep for 6 hours. And we were like, I wish I could have done solids a lot sooner, because that's all. There's a reason I was terrified to have another. And that was because that was like stuck in my head, that crazy first few months of like, I don't want to relive that. And yeah, I never did.
Yeah. Okay. So now your boys are here, Jack and Ben. Tell me about your experience with neurodivergence and, just kind of what you went through.
Our son Jack was diagnosed with autism before age 2. I saw signs kind of around his first birthday, like Ben's language was like taking off, and Jack was doing like approximations of words, like, Ben could name all the vehicles and Jack would just call everything a car, like a car. Mm-hmm. And he would say like dada. But for the most part, I was like, well, I can't really compare them. They're just siblings that were born together. It doesn't mean they're going to do everything at the same time. But it was like getting the first inklings of like, there is something a little different with Jack's development. Before that, he reached all of his milestones, like same. He was the first to walk. He was the first to crawl. Ben followed suit soon after. So, I didn't see anything prior to maybe the 12, 13 month mark where I was just kind of like kind of keeping an eye on him because I was an early childhood educator. I knew like the things to watch for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was like his around 15 months, he stopped making a lot of eye contact with us. He wouldn't really respond to his name. And his, along with language, ultimately just like disappearing from him. Like he just stopped saying any sounds. And it was kind of like, that's interesting. And along with language went his fine motor skills. Like he wasn't able to point anymore and he couldn't do like grasping of things. He just lost a lot of skills, like regressed basically. Mm-hmm. In my head, I kind of was already mentally preparing myself. Like, I think he's autistic, but like, I am not an expert and I didn't want to freak out my husband. But I did say like, I am going to mention to his pediatrician the things I've been noticing. And we kind of kept it private because we didn't want to share what was going on with extended family. But his pediatrician was like, okay, well, this is the first step. You have to get him evaluated at a ASD clinic. So we had to wait because, insurance doesn't move quickly. So then they said, in the meantime, there's like a regional center in our county that would like observe him, but they can't officially diagnose. That has to come from insurance side, which whatever. Like I was like, can I still meet with them? Because I'd like someone to validate what I'm seeing.
Right.
And be wondering for months, like what, So they met with us in the summer right before their second birthday, and they observed him and said, yes, we agree with you. It is autism, but like we can't say that. That has to come through like a actual diagnosis. So I think we had like mixed emotions around it because as much as I kind of mentally knew what was going to be told to us, it was still like life is going to be very different once again. Like, and I don't know, Noah, I think maybe struggled more just because I don't think he really thought that was what was happening until it was like confirmed for us. So, but Noah, I don't know if you even know, Noah's only sibling has special needs. So if anyone was like built to do this, it is my husband. So I think we snapped out of like the feeling sorry for ourselves pretty quickly and just got in like, okay, what do we need to do now? Like what therapies does he need to be in and all the things. So I think we got they observed him, I want to say like in August and officially confirmed like, yes, he's autistic. He's level 3, which is like the most severe level. Cause not only he has like a ton of sensory stuff going on, but like he had regressed and lost skills, which is always really hard to kind of gain those skills back, which is crazy that you can just like poof, stop talking. But that was our experience with Jack. So I was working full time. The boys were with me in the preschool at the 2-year-old classroom. So my, director and everybody were very understanding and said like, we'll work with you and accommodate like therapies in school, whatever you need to like stay, because they didn't want me to leave. Mm-hmm. But we did try to make that work. But if you've ever been in a 2-year-old classroom, it's utter chaos and Jack couldn't focus. Even in like a quiet area, there was so much distraction going on that it was like, this isn't really gonna be beneficial to try to. And then I was also, my mind wasn't with the kids. I'm always wondering like, what are they doing with Jack? Are they, I want to see how they're treating him because he can't speak. So I can't really, I want to be a member, an active participant in what's going on where he is. And I'm trying to teach. And so I talked to Noah and just said like, I either need to just be home full time or like see if they would do part-time for me or something. But like his needs come before everyone else's kids. Like, I'm sorry. I am not trying to, take care of other people's kids when my kid needs a lot of attention right now. So Jack was recommended like 40 hours of therapy a week, which was like behavioral therapy. ABA is what they call it. And it was a lot of play-based stuff, like getting Jack to participate in like typical, games that a 2-year-old would play, or like getting him to even sit for more than 5 seconds at a time, because to this day, Jack just doesn't have an attention span to sit unless he's got like a YouTube video on his iPad. He's just always on the go. So it was just a lot of play-based, getting him to try to interact, getting him to make, not forcing eye contact, but like encouraging, like, Jack, like, look at us. Cause he just kind of did his own thing all the time. And he did show like, improvement as far as like, he did regain eye contact. He's amazing with eye contact now. And there are things that like did progress and get better, but overall Jack is just, I hate saying it, but like severe on the spectrum, where there are just things I've accepted are not going to change. And that's just, you learn to get like a level of acceptance of like, it is what it is. We make the best of it. I stopped doing therapy altogether for him because I didn't see a benefit anymore. It was a lot of them constantly redirecting him and like almost scolding him for just like existing and doing the things that he does. And I'm like, this is not what I want for him. Like, I would rather him just be how he is. I'm not trying to, I know there are things he's never going to be able to do. I've kind of accepted he's almost like forever stuck in like the toddler phase that like you have to keep them alive on a daily basis. Yeah. And he needs like constant supervision. I can't trust him in a room of like where Ben's, they're the same age, but like developmentally, they're nowhere near the same. So, it is challenging. I think we're 10 years in now. So it's just kind of like, there's a level of acceptance we've hit of like, this is going to be our life. I'm going to be a full-time caregiver for life for Jack. He's never going to live outside of our home unless he's in like an adult group home kind of situation, which I don't want for him, but I don't know that I'm always going to be around. So we're just taking it day by day.
Tell me really quick. He's in school now, correct?
Yeah. I was terrified to send him somewhere with like, I hear like horror stories of like these poor kids that are nonverbal being like abused or, hit on the bus by bus drivers and people that ride the bus. I mean, it's horrifying, the stories that are released from everywhere.
Right.
So I was the mindset of like, nope, not sending him to school, never, not going to happen. But I was only putting added stress on myself. Like my husband was like, Rachel, you have to let him go and, give yourself a break. So this is the part we're going to live. So we did homeschool for, I think I did kindergarten, first, second grade. And that was also due to the pandemic. Like he can't wear a mask. And California was very strict about like kids are going to school in masks. And, I was just like, that's not the school experience I wanted for either of my kids. So both of them were homeschooled. For Ben, we sent in second grade, we found a private Christian school that we were like, okay, we can afford to send one kid because Jack's not got the option to do private because they don't have the supports in place for him. So I got Ben off, and then I still was like clinging on to Jack, like, nope, he's not going. And by the end of his second grade year, I was like starting to feel like, I don't know what I'm doing really still with him. Like I'm learning as I go kind of a thing. And maybe there is a classroom that has kids just like them, like just like him, I should say, that can offer him more than I can at home. Because he was bored. He was restless here. He's not getting any kind of social interaction with just me. And I had given up on therapies at that point. So it was just me and Jack getting through very long days.
I bet.
And he's just nonstop. Like he doesn't relax. So I'm like, I didn't love the idea, but I was like, all right, we started talking to the school district, and it was like a battle, of course, to get them to even like agree to get Jack. The way they do it is like, he's never been in the school system. So he would go in a general education classroom for 30 days until they have time to sit down and have a full-on meeting to decide where he's going to be placed. And I'm like, that makes zero sense. He cannot speak. How is he going into a general ed classroom when he needs constant supervision? He would need a one-on-one. Like I was just like, I'm not even going to put him through that 30 days, nor am I going to put a teacher through that, because that's not where he belongs. Like it's very evident where he needs to be, and that's in a special needs classroom.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing about this. Did you kind of
Yes.
post it?
I can't, like, Mama Bear came out, and like I really let them have it. Like, I don't like being confrontational, but I'm like, I will not put my son in a situation where he's gonna hurt himself or other people because he's overstimulated. And like, I'm like, you have to trust me as his mom that I'm telling you. He can't even put shoes on. Like, he won't wear shoes. He refuses shoes. He won't put socks on his feet. There are things about Jack that, like, he's not going to go to a regular classroom and even function the way you would expect any child to function. And like, he would be dancing on the desktops. Like, it's just insane to think you're going to throw him into class for 30 days and be like, oh, well, it is what it is. Like, no, he'll elope. He'll run out of the building. He'll like get hit by a car. Like, I'm like, I ended up going to the ER by ambulance through this process because I woke up with my chest, like, I felt like I was having a heart attack, and I had like, my heart rate was like high on my watch when I looked, and I was like, Noah, call the ambulance. I think I'm having a heart attack. And he's like, you're probably just like having a panic attack. But I was so convinced that like, no, something physically is wrong. So, you know, of course they come, my blood pressure was like through the roof, and they took me in, they did all the testing of my heart and stuff. And they're like, I think you had like a nocturnal panic attack. And I'm like, okay, I feel very silly, like, so stupid, but I'm glad I checked because I truly felt like something was wrong. And that was while I was fighting with the district. So the next day I emailed everybody, and I'm like, I didn't tell them like, this is your fault, but I'm like, you guys sent me to the ER.
Yeah.
I'm so done arguing about something. I'm telling you where my son needs to go. If you don't want to do that, then like, what are my options? I'm going to just keep homeschooling him. And like, I need some support. I need you guys to take me seriously, not make me jump through all these ridiculous hoops to get him into the district. And they were like, you know what? We don't even think he belongs in the district. He probably needs to be outside of the district in like a county program that's more intensive. I'm like, sure, send me there. I'm happy to go tour. Like, let's skip the district, because honestly, I didn't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
So they had the principal of this like intensive county program come to the house to observe Jack, and she was like, oh yeah, he's like a good fit for what our program is. They have only 8 kids in there with 8 adults, like a kid per adult. And, you know, he would probably do well, but come tour. I checked it out. I was still so hesitant, like, not because I didn't get a good vibe from them, but just like, am I trusting these people that they're going to keep him safe? They're not going to like do something that I like, because Jack can't come home and say like, Mom, someone's hurting me. It's like, I just have to trust that these are good people and they're there for good reasons. And so, you know, the school was like, it's, you know, he's not the only child that's not going to wear shoes here. All of the kids run around bare feet on the blacktop, and like, it is what it is. We encourage them to wear socks and shoes, but we're not forcing anything on anyone because we understand it's a sensory issue for him. And they were like, if you want to like come to school with him the first couple of days until you feel good about like, you know, quietly leaving the classroom, like, we're open to doing that for you. You know, he does have days where he doesn't sleep well, just his brain doesn't shut off sometimes. So they're like, if he misses days of school, that's not a huge deal. Like, we're not going to come after you for like truancy if he's missing lots of school. So I was just like in tears when I left the first day. I sat in like the parking lot. I didn't even go home. But yeah, he's been there.
Happy tears or?
Yeah, no, more like happy, but like freaked out. Like, he's really in school and I'm not there. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Having to give up that control and
yeah, it was a lot. And I think probably the best thing I ever did for him and myself, but like, I still, every day I'm like checking my phone, making sure nobody's like needing something for me to rush over or do whatever. He's had a couple instances of like running out of the classroom into the parking lot, but it's very like set back from like any kind of main road. So, but yeah, he's been there, I think, over a year, and he's doing well. So
Good.
just trying to adjust still.
Yeah. Trying to adjust to having quiet time to yourself.
Right. It's weird to have hours where I don't need to take care of someone.
You know, it's almost, you don't want to say like Ben's, pushed aside, but sometimes like all your focus is with
Yes, always, for sure.
Yeah. What's that like having to balance that for Ben?
Well, Ben calls me out. He'll be like, that's favoritism and you love Jack more than me. And I'm like, no, I don't, Ben, but you have very different needs where like I can trust you to go get yourself water and like, because I cater to Jack in his eyes, and I have to. Jack, there's nothing that Jack can do that's a typical 10-year-old. Like, I'm still doing everything for him because he is truly developmentally more like a 2-year-old. And so I'm like, Ben, I feel horrible, but I'm like, I don't favor any of you. I love both of you the same. No, you love Jack. I get a lot of that from Ben. And then I feel like, oh gosh, he's going to need therapy.
We all need therapy. That's okay.
But I'm like, I have like guilt about that, but I'm like, Noah of all people probably can relate to Ben because I'm sure his parents had to cater more to his sister who has special needs growing up. So he can bond over that with Ben and like explain like, no, Jack just needs more from us than you do. And it's true. I can't, there's like, if they're both home, Ben's off doing, video games, whatever. I always have to know where Jack is. He's always in the room with me. He's, even at home, as much as I can like child-proof things and make it safer, he's anything he can find to be unsafe, he will do. And that's Jack's, that's just how he is.
That's my 3-year-old. Like,
yeah. And that's Jack forever.
Yeah. It's
exhausting. It's like, it's never ending. I watched the episode with your mom where she was like, I think she said some kind of quote of like, it's exhausting, but like, who else is going to do it?
You look around and there's no one else to do it.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, no, I feel that there's no one else. I mean, Noah helps when he's home, but it's like, yeah, it falls on me and I'm, suck it up and you just do what you got to do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So talking about, exhausting and never ending and all that stuff, not you as mom, but you as Rachel, how do you cope and stay sane and be Rachel?
I'm getting better. I think this is probably the first year I've felt more like me again. Like I'm just not pouring everything into my kids now. And it's like 10 and it feels crazy that I'm saying that at age 10, but like, yeah, having Jack home full time, trying to be everything to him was like, yeah, probably the healthiest thing for me was to trust someone else to be responsible for him for a couple hours a day, because it can't just always be one person. And Noah, when he's home, he's, he taps in, takes the boys, gives me breaks, does whatever. But it's like, yeah, to be the one always home was not good for me. And so even now, like I sit around some days just kind of like in a funk, like what am I supposed to do with my days now? But I take our dog on a walk. I listen to podcasts. I read a ton of books. That's like my way to escape. I watch trash TV. I'm like, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out like what should I be filling my days with, but then I'm hesitant to fill my days in case something pops up with Jack and I'm needed, or
Right.
He doesn't sleep and he's home, or so yeah, I'm still figuring out. I was getting in this like workout routine before summer, and then my kids were home and that fell apart. So now that they're back, I'm like, I need to get back in my routine, but
Yeah.
it's hard at like 40. I'm like, I'm not a super social person. So,
I'm proud of you for being able to give up that control and get back a little something for you. Like, I want to get emotional, just like I'm glad that you can just read those books and take a breath and have silence. Like, those are the things that, you know, my brain has always just been on such high alert. Like, I just want it. I crave those times when it's just quiet and there's nothing in my brain but just my thoughts. And so I'm just really happy that you're able to finally kind of get that.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
And
it's not, I guess my brain is always on high alert when Jack is home, but I have to be, because he has no safety awareness whatsoever. You know, everything goes in his mouth. It is truly like having a toddler. So you have to always have a sense of urgency and be on your, you know, like, what is going to happen? Like, so yeah, to decompress and be like, I don't have to stress out every second of the day. It is weird to just have like silence. It's nice, but I'm like, it's almost like you have to reacclimate to like, this is kind of how it felt when I didn't have kids and knowing I had a very quiet, chill house. Like, it's weird to get back. So yeah, I'm only like, Jack's only been in school a year now, I think. But yeah, I'm still like, some days I just sit around like almost like paralyzed. Like, what do I do with myself? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Rach, you've had a lot. You've gone through a lot. I mean,
yes. I mean, so have you. I watched some of your videos and just hearing about all your pregnancy loss and like your postpartum depression stuff. I was just like sobbing watching your videos.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I just, motherhood is like, I don't think anyone can prepare you for how hard it is. And then like when you're in it, it's like, well, you got to just suck it up because you're in it. You can't get out of it now. So
you can't give it back. You can't.
No, that's why I didn't have more. I could have used more embryos. I could have done more, but it was like, no, I knew, like, I know my limit and I have hit it and I'm overwhelmed. I don't need to add on to it.
Nope. All right. Well, any final thoughts you want to add before we go?
I don't think so. It was good chatting with you and seeing you. And
oh, so good to see you. It's been a very long time.
Yes.
It was great. I'm glad you shared your story.
So, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right. Well, we will be in touch. Okay.
All right.
A big thank you to Rachel for being willing to sit with me and share your story. She's been through a lot. Like I say, everybody's got a different journey, but we can all usually relate to each other in some way. Her dealing with her infertility and, you know, being pregnant with multiples, I know can resonate with some people, and probably even the diagnosis that she got with her son, Jack. She's a strong mama. I do know that. She's one strong mama. She's a mama bear that fights for her kiddos. So a big thank you to Rachel, and until next time.